Crafternoon friends, I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you joining us from all around the world. I am super excited about today's video because this was one of those questions that was popping up on Tuesday night like crazy. And it was so hard for Tom and I to get to all of the questions. So hopefully today's video is going to take you in a whole new direction with your foiling, and it's going to answer a lot of those questions. Today we're going to be foiling using our stamps. And this is just going to stretch your supplies and stretch your stamps and your foiling. And I think you're really going to like how it looks. Now, I did mention on Tuesday night that the look is a little bit different than the actual stamp, but it's still absolutely beautiful, and it's something you're going to want to try. But before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Happy Crafternoon.
Hey, I see you, and I also see my step stool. Move it out of the way here.
Come on.
Oh, sorry about that.
Gee, now we got to start all over.
Oh, how are you today?
I'm better than horrible.
That's all that matters.
Boy, how neat that is what you're working on over there.
Yeah, I know, right? Stamps, foiling with your stamps. I mean, think of all the stamps you have in your collection. Now, this is good for a particular type of stamp, but people have these stamps in their collection, so I know it's going to be fun.
Yeah,
I gave Tom a sneak peek.
That was quite a few. Those questions, we got a lot of questions the other night.
We did.
Sorry for not getting to all of those, but wow.
We might even have to do a Q&A for foiling. Just a Q&A so that we can just go through all the questions and then write them down and then kind of tackle them one by one. Yeah, I think, and so if you have a question today, if you could start it with the word question. I just saw one go by, but the comments move so quickly, sometimes I don't always catch them. Once foil is put through the fuse, can it be used again? Yes, definitely watch Tuesday night's video because I demonstrate how you can use the leftover foil piece. Yes, you can use that with white poly glaze or with toner sheets, and it's a pretty cool technique. Okay, well, shall we get started?
Let's get started.
Okay, so today is not quite a card making video. It's more of a technique video. If I get time to make a card out of it, I will. I might be able to get one done, but I really, really want to show you the technique because that's kind of the most important thing. So I will make one that I can turn into a card, and then the rest of them, we're just going to do some different experimenting here. So for those of you that are new to the fuse, this is what the fuse looks like. It's the fuse foiling system, and it is a souped up laminator that is designed specifically for foiling and for these foiling techniques. Now here is one of the times where your regular laminator may not work for this technique because you do need a special heat setting. One of the things that I've learned in my experimentation is too hot of a laminator doesn't really look that great. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the fuse, and then we're going to turn it up just to heat setting 1. So this is warm enough to make the foil adhere to the design, but not so hot that it's going to squish the design and spread it all over the place and make it look kind of smeary, if that makes sense. So when I was experimenting today, I used setting 1. I did try setting 3. It was a hot mess. And then I didn't try setting 2. I just went down to setting 1. We could try setting 2 today and see if that works. Actually, I may have done setting 2. We'll try them both because we'll start with 1 and we'll see how it works. Okay, and then for the foils, now one thing that I have learned is that the glitter foils are really cool for this technique, but they definitely make it look a little bit more textured. The solid foils give it the best solid look. So I'm going to start with 14 karat, and we're going to foil a leaf. So the best kinds of stamps for this are going to be stamps that have either a nice crisp line like this set here. I don't have a piece of white cardstock. Let me grab one right here so that you can see this. I have to get some anyway. This is a stamp set called Blizzard, and I love this stamp set. It's great. These snowflakes look extremely delicate when foiled, but really fun, so it's a good one to do. But a stamp set like this one, and this is Autumn Silhouettes, this one actually works really well. So, but it works well because it's not too solid. You see what I mean? How there's a lot of white space in there, but it's a little bit more dense. So maybe something like this, this leaf, maybe something like the butterfly from Friendly Silhouettes, maybe something like the butterfly from Elegant Asters. You know, you want to use something, these kinds of images, something like this where you've got some like white space showing. These will all work really well with this technique. All right, so let's just get right into it. So I'm going to take this piece of cardstock and I am going to trim this down. Now, if you're brand new to the Fuse, I would definitely watch last night's video, the one that was on Tuesday night, because it had lots of tips and tricks for foiling. And then I also have a whole foiling playlist on my YouTube channel. So definitely watch that, some of those as well, and you'll really get up to speed quickly on how laminator foiling works. I did see a question come through, can we use your foils with hot plate foiling? You cannot. These are called textile foils. They are different than the hot foils. The hot foils work with metal. So you need something metal that gets hot and it presses onto the foil and then it, you know, makes it adhere just where the metal and the paper meet. These are made to stick to something. So you need either something like our polyglaze sheets, which are these pre-designed panels. You need something like deco-foil transfer gel, which is a paste that ThermoWeb makes that allows foil to stick to it. You need toner card fronts. They are the black toner designs. You need a laser printer where you print your own designs and then it will stick to that toner. Or you need what I'm going to do today, which is some embossing powder and stamps. Okay, so almost all of you have embossing powder in your collection, which is great. And what I'm going to do here, I think this might be the card that I turn into an actual card. So I'm going to trim this down a little bit more. I'm going to trim this down to 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 of an inch. All right. And then I am going to get a piece of cardstock here. And I am going to get some, let's see here. I'm going to get some 1/4 inch Masking Magic strips. Okay. So let's do that first. This will be a real experiment here. So I'm going to do the 1/4 inch strips around the border because I want to make a little border for this card. So I'm just putting these Masking Magic, these are real low tack tape strips that we have on our website. They're called Masking Magic strips. And they're great for all kinds of techniques, but this is one of my favorite techniques that I do with the strips, is to create this white border. It just really finishes things off so nicely. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some white embossing powder. Now this is the Gina K Designs Fine Detail White Embossing Powder. It comes in a little jar like this. This is our clear. You can also use clear for this, but I'm going to use white. It doesn't really matter that much. You can also use gold or silver, but I'll experiment with that in front of you so you can see if you like the look. Okay, then I'm going to take my Embossing Magic pad because I want to eliminate any static or any oils or anything that's on the front of this cardstock, so my embossing powder only sticks to my image and not to any debris or anything that's on my actual piece of cardstock. Now, we're going to go back to the old days here, and we're going to stamp with an actual acrylic block instead of using the Misty, because I want to stamp all over the place. Now I'm going to use, I think I'll use this stamp. Okay. I'm going to clean it first because I was playing with it a little bit earlier. So I'm going to clean this. Now this stamp set that I'm using is called Autumn Silhouettes. And I'm just going to use the leaves, and this is going to end up being a nice little autumn card. Okay, and I'm using Gina K Designs Embossing and Watermark ink, but you can also use Versamark, something like that. I tried using the sticky embossing powder from Ranger for this technique. You know, I haven't. I've tried using a glue type of embossing powder, and I think that might be the same. I had an old one from Stampin' Up, and it didn't work as well as this technique for me. Now, that doesn't mean it won't work for you because I haven't used the Ranger one. So, you know, I always say, hey, if you have it, try it. As long as everything is contained inside your carrier sheet, you're not going to damage your fuse. All right, so I'm going to stamp one leaf right here in the middle. Get a nice, good, crisp image there. And then I'm going to do these one at a time because I want to be able to see where I stamped. Now, this is going to be easier for me to see than for you to see. But that's because it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you could see that. There you go. You could see it right there. Okay, so.
Does it matter which color you use for the embossing powder?
Well,
is one better?
I've been using white, and I've been having really good luck with white. So I would kind of stick with white for this. But like I said, this video is about experimentation. So I'm going to be experimenting a little bit with you here to see if some of the other colors look good. All right. So I'm going to do, like I said, I'm doing these one at a time just so that the embossing ink doesn't dry. Okay. And remember, we're going to get a rustic look. But these stamps are kind of rustic looking anyway, so why not, right? We'll do another one here. All right. Now let's pick a different leaf because we've got 3 autumn leaves going down there. I'm not even going to clean this because I'm being a rebel. Let's go with this stamp here, this one. Sorry, my eye was in the way there. Okay, and we're going to stamp another one.
So Gina, for questions that get bias on these lives, where is the best place to get a question answered that probably in many cases was already answered?
In our Facebook group is always a great place because I'm in there a lot, and we also have a lot of very experienced stampers in there that may have watched another video where that question was answered, and they can help you with that. Also, just by watching any of the videos on foiling, I bet your question would be answered, but we'll do our best to try to answer as many as possible. And Tom, just jump in. Go ahead and interrupt me if I'm talking too much and you've got a question. All right. So I'm going to use this leaf. No, I'll use this leaf too. It's a little more solid. And then I'm just going to add a couple little ones here on the sides. So we're going to hope for the best because I've got it set on setting 1. Go. It's kind of why you see me always having to clean my stamps when I start over because I'm bad about cleaning sometimes after I use embossing ink. Yeah, I'm bad about that. Let's see. Maybe I'll go this way. Okay. And I do want to just do a shout out. I know there's a lot of people missing today because they are dealing with hurricane stuff. So if you're watching on rewatch, just know that we're all thinking of you and praying for you that that hurricane does not do any damage and you get through it okay. And also, I know a lot of our friends are taking a class today over at the Scrapbook and Cards Today website. They are in the middle of their big Crop and Create event, which I am teaching at over the weekend. And so we've got, they have 3,300 people over there. So I'm sure that a lot of you are going to be watching this on rewatch. So welcome to our rewatchers. Okay, now I'm going to do something here that I'm going to take the embossing magic strips off. And the reason I want to do that is because there might be some caught in the little borders there. And I don't want any of that to be foiled. So I'm going to just pull this off gently. Make sure there isn't any where I don't want it before I emboss it. So this is, you know, it's a little scary, but okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to emboss this with my regular heat tool first. And the reason why, some of you might say, well, why don't you just emboss it in gold or silver and be done with it? Why are you going to foil it? Foil looks completely different than embossing powder. Embossing powder, even shiny embossing powders, have a texture to them. They're much more muted than foil. Foil like glitters. It's just a different look. And this is just a fun way to stretch your supplies and use them for a completely different technique. I'm going to turn this. And you want to make sure that your embossing powder is completely heated, that there's no little dry patches that you missed anywhere. Of course, you don't want to burn it because you need it to be kind of liquidy still when it goes through. And when I say liquidy, if it's shiny, it'll turn liquidy when it goes through. Okay, so hopefully you can see that design there. I'm trying to catch it in the light, but it's kind of hard to see. But you can see the shine. All right, now we are going to pick a foil that we want to use. Okay, let's go with the gold because that's what I think is going to work best. And I have can you see all of the little flecks in here, the embossing powder in here? This carrier sheet I have dedicated to this technique. It is the one that I use for this technique because it's almost impossible not to get some powder into this carrier sheet. I have my super clean one over here. They do come in a 2-pack if you want to get some extras, and you could even write on it with a Sharpie, you know, embossing powder. All right, now I'm going to use my Swiffer duster again because we like to make sure that we get all of the dust off. And I have dust all over this table, so I'm Swiffering the table first, and then I am going to Swiffer the front of this. And then I'm going to get a piece of this 14 karat foil. Now, a couple of you in our Facebook group were saying, I'm a little confused with foiling because there's so many terms and I don't know what all the terms mean and I don't know what a carrier sheet is versus foil versus polyglaze. I've created a little document that I'm going to share later today in our Facebook group, and I'll share it also on our community tab here on YouTube that will help you with all the terminologies so that as we talk in future videos, you'll have a little reference sheet. Now, I've got my design face up with the leaves on it, and I'm going to lay this gold foil on top, pretty side up, the way we always do, like if this was a polyglaze sheet. And we're going to pop this into the folder, and then we've got the folded side going into the machine first. Now, hope for the best that one is hot enough. And it's going through the machine. Now, if it's not hot enough, we'll bump it up to 2, and we'll play with that. I was going back and forth between 1 and 2, and honestly, my old brain, I should have written it down, but I think 1 is going to do it.
Question, where do we get an extra carrier sheet for this purpose?
You can go to ginakdesigns.com and you can type in carrier sheet into the search bar, and we sell a 2-pack of carrier sheets on our website. And honestly, if you have the extra funds, get 2 packs, because nothing is worse than when your carrier sheet crinkles up and you need it.
What is the lifespan, do you know?
Well, I mean, a carrier sheet can last forever. It doesn't really, nothing really happens to them unless they go in a little crooked and they crinkle up, or if you get embossing powder all over them. Like, I wouldn't want to use this one with my poly glaze. Okay, so I think this is gonna look good. So let me take a peek. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And remember, setting 1, so this is not too hot. All right, ready? Look at this. Look at how beautiful that is. So you can see what I mean. It is a little bit more rustic than the actual design itself, right? Because the design itself is more dense. Right? You can see these leaves are more dense, but look at how beautiful that is. So that's setting 1. I would stick to setting 1. And I say that because what happens when you do a higher setting, as it goes through the rollers, if it's too hot, this melts too much and it starts pushing and smearing the design. So you definitely want to keep it at a low heat setting. But isn't that pretty? Yes. Okay, now let's just do something to this. And of course, you can use this negative piece with white polyglaze. So I'll just show you kind of what it would look like. If you put it on top of a piece of white polyglaze and you peeled it, that's what it would look like. So you could use the negative the same way we did in Tuesday night's videos. You don't have to get rid of this. You can use it. But this, I love it.
And so for people who just joined us, maybe, can you make it clear that you didn't stamp this on polyglaze?
I did not stamp this on polyglaze. I used just Gina K Designs 80-pound layering weight white cardstock. Just plain white cardstock. I stamped it with embossing and watermark ink. I embossed it with white embossing powder, and then I ran it through my foiling machine, the fuse, using Gina K Designs 14 karat gold fancy foils. You can use any of the deco-foil in a tube to do this as well. But isn't that just so fun? I love it.
Are there some stamps that work better than others?
Yes, definitely. I did address this a little earlier. I kind of like these ones that are a little bit more solid, but also have some white space showing through them. Because for those of you who have our skeleton leaves, you can see how this is a more dense leaf, but it turned it into more of the look of a skeleton leaf. But I am going to show you on a very delicate one, too. I'm going to show you on our one of our snowflake patterns in a little bit. So, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing your greetings with this because they're going to be all crinkly, right? I'm going to go back and put some more masking magic around here because I'm going to do some ink blending over this now. And we'll save this panel to turn it into a card. Because I said I'd try to make one card. And I'll get it in, because we're going to try a couple different things.
And you can do this on colored cardstock too, right?
You can do this on colored cardstock. Yes, you can. You can do this on the heat-resistant acetate if you want a clear background. That's a little slippery, though, but it works. I mean, you just have to have kind of a steady hand to get your stamped images done. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple ink pads here. I'm going to do a little honey mustard, a little, ooh, what else? Faded brick, and maybe a little green, a little jelly bean green. So we'll just kind of ink blend over this. Nothing too fancy. I'm just going to ink blend.
And you have videos showing how to use deco-foil.
Oh, yes.
And gel, right?
Yep, I do. I have a whole video called 5 Ways to Use Deco-Foil Transfer Gel. Now, one of the reasons I like the white is because the leaf pattern itself is very white, so you get the look of emboss resist along with the look of foil. And that's why I like the white. If you would use something like gold, you know, it may not look as good. It may look more blotchy and blurry. So I love the little details that you get from this. Okay, so we've got a little bit of that on there. Let's do some faded brick. Blend in a little faded brick in here. There's red on my brush, but that's okay. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of yellow in here so that I can blend into the green and it won't be red and green trying to blend together, because that makes brown. Although brown wouldn't be bad on this card because it's an autumn one. Okay. The Masking Magic strips come in 3 different widths in the pack. They come in a 1/4 inch, they come in an 1/8 of an inch, and a 1/2 inch, and that's all in one pack. So they'll all be in the same pack. And then we also have Masking Magic sheets that are solid sheets that you can die cut, or if you want to cut them into strips yourself, you certainly can. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's take a paper towel and we'll just wipe over the surface. We'll get anything that's stuck on the foil, anything that's stuck on the white embossing powder, and look at this. Look at the shine. You still get that gorgeous foiled shine, but now you have that little bit of white texture in there. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it, love it. And then when we pull these off, we get that nice little border, and we can pop a greeting on here, which I'll do at the end, and we'll turn this into a beautiful autumn card.
Stamps.
Yeah, stamps, right? Stamps. I'm going to try not to lose that panel on my desk because it's already a disaster around here. Okay, so Tom, just keep screaming out questions if they come in, because I definitely don't want to miss questions. But also, if you have questions, I'll check in the Facebook group later today too, and I'll try to tackle some of them.
You know if your foil is like Cricut foil?
No, I think it's different. And I say I think it's different because I think somebody tried to use Cricut foil in our group and it stuck to everything. So you definitely need textile foil. Now, that being said, I don't have a Cricut that I have a Cricut, but I don't really use it. And I've never done foiling with the Cricut, so I don't know whether or not that's an accurate answer. Okay, let's try a background stamp here. I think this one would be fun. This is our delicate snowflake background. So let's try doing this one with some silver foil. All right, so we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We need a piece of white cardstock. Here's a piece of white cardstock. And then let me clean up my ink there, because you know me, if there's one dot of ink somewhere on the table, I'm going to run my hand over it and run it right over my beautiful foiled background and make a mess. Okay. So now, once again, we're going to use the embossing magic pad. And if you don't have this, there's also other powder tools out there. Do I have just regular? Yeah, this is regular cardstock. Okay. Alrighty. Now, what we're going to do, once again, is we're going to use the Embossing and Watermark ink, and we're going to ink up this background stamp. Now, these snowflakes are a little thicker than the next one I want to show you, but I want to get a lot of looks in here for you so that you can really understand how to do this. And again, it's not going to be as perfect as your stamps, but it's perfect in its own way, because it just gives your, I mean, you know, those leaves look like a whole different stamp set. They look like a set of skeleton leaves. Okay.
Marcia wants to know, can you ink blend the paper prior to foiling?
Yeah, you sure can. Just make sure that it is super dry before you start foiling, you know, because sometimes when you ink blend and then you put embossing powder on top, if the ink that you ink blended isn't completely dry, it's really hard to not get embossing powder stuck to your background. So I would almost say like ink blend the night before and let the panels dry. And then the next day, go ahead and do emboss resist on them.
And can you do this with your 100-pound heavyweight colored cardstock?
Yes, but the one thing I would say is if you're not getting enough foil on there, you might want to bump it up to 2 because our 120-pound white cardstock is beautiful, but it's thicker, so it might need just a tad more heat. And that's the beauty of the fuse, is that you can, you know, set the different heat temperatures. All right, now I'm going to peel this off, and I'm going to do this with white embossing powder. The white and the clear are going to give you the same result because the clear is just going to let the white cardstock show through. But if you don't want any white showing through and you're doing this on colored cardstock, then I would suggest using clear because then just the background color of the cardstock would show through. For example, if you were doing this on a navy cardstock or you're doing this on craft cardstock, if you use white embossing powder and then, you know, anywhere the foil didn't stick would look white. But if you use clear, it would just kind of be shiny. It would just kind of disappear. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and emboss this with my heat tool. Make sure I get it all. I know this is hard to see. This is like so boring when you're watching it on a live because you can't see anything happening. But in real life when you do it, you can totally see it turning white and shiny. It just gets real glossy. And again, you want to make sure that there's no little powdery spots left because they'll just smear. You actually need the design to be intact. And you know, this is very similar to polyglaze because it's a glossy white substance. So it's very similar to polyglaze. Polyglaze is a little more precise though when it comes to foiling. So, you know, if whatever you see on the design sheet is what you're going to get with the polyglaze. What you see on the stamps, you're going to get a more rustic version of that. But let's give it a shot and see what we have. Okay, now I'm going to put that down. I like using a clothespin when I have it all over the place. And once again, my bad, I'm not going to clean my stamp. I'm just going to put it away and wonder why it's not working next time. Okay, let's get some silver foil. So I want to use sterling because I want this to, it's still going to be crinkly, you know what I mean? It's still going to have more of a glittery look like that because it doesn't hit every single bit. But we're going to do it. We're going to do this. Now, I'm going to trim this down a little bit because I don't want this piece of cardstock to be outside of my piece of foil, and my foils are all cut 4x6. So I'm going to trim around the perimeter and at least get this down a little bit smaller than my my foil. So I'm going to take it down to 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm just, you know, just trimming it until I get it to 3 3/4 by 5.
Sue wants to know, can you put the piece of cardstock and foil through a second time if it's not complete?
Sure you can. Definitely. I would definitely try that. Now, I already lost my carrier sheet. I know it's under here. Let me just find it. Give me a second. If you could see the mess I have already, you would not be shocked because you know me by now. All right, here it is. I just want to use my dirty one, and when I say my dirty one, my one that has some embossing powder on it already. Okay, now I'm going to get a piece of sterling foil out of here.
Any idea when the foils will be back in stock?
Well, we have a huge order of them, and they usually don't take too long, so I would check back within about a week. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Swiffer duster and dust over the surface, and then I'm going to dust on the back of the foil to remove any dust, and there's dust. You could see the dust on top of the foil too. I'll just get rid of that too. But that's kind of what's getting stuck to my carrier sheet here. But it's okay. This is my embossing folder carrier sheet. I mean, my embossing powder carrier sheet. Okay, so here we go again. Let's see what this one looks like.
And what kind of embossing powder are you using?
I am using Gina K Designs Fine Detail Embossing Powder. And all of our embossing powders are fine detail. And I think you get the best results when using a fine detail powder. When you use a regular embossing powder, it's going to swell up higher and there's more of a chance of it smearing. So if you're not getting great results, pick up a fine detail powder. All of ours are fine detail. I have clear, white, silver, gold, and black. But you can never go wrong with a fine detail white powder. It's just such a great thing to have in your collection. Okay, so I see some snowflake impressions here, so I think we might have done okay. And remember, I've got my fuse set to 1, so not a lot of heat on this. And welcome, friends. It is great to see all of you popping in. And if you're watching on Rewatch, welcome to our Rewatch friends. Okay. So look at this. Now you see how delicate that is? Super delicate. Just beautiful, but very delicate and very light.
Question, do you create polyglaze sheets for most of your stamping designs?
No, just usually for stuff that is part of our kits. So, isn't that nice? I like that. Now, let's try this at a higher setting. Let's go up to 2 because I'm noticing with the delicate one, it missed a little bit more, but still really pretty. You know what I like about this too? This design, let me find the background stamp here. This design can be really busy, you know, because it's got a lot of thick snowflakes in there. It can be really busy behind like a little snowman scene or a little village scene. But doing it with the foil, it's just so light and lovely and so shiny. So a little bit different than what you would get with embossing powder. And then, of course, if you wanted to, you could always use the negative, and you can see the little delicate snowflakes that would be in there. Okay, so let's try now silver powder so we can see what the difference would look like with that same design with silver powder, because it might be a little more solid looking, or it might smear to high heaven, and I think that's something we should experience together. All right, so once again, I'm going to use a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to use my embossing magic pad.
Not a place to go it alone.
Nope, I want to do it with you guys. Okay, and then I'm going to ink this up, and then I'm going to show you one more. I'm going to show you a single snowflake that I really like. I think is really pretty.
What size do the foil sheets come in?
The foil sheets come in, the fancy foils are 6 by 8 inches, and for the gold and the silver, you get 20 sheets, and for the colors, you get 12 sheets. So I cut them in half, so however many sheets there are, I get double the amount of cards out of it. Okay, so for like a gold and silver, you'd get 40 cards. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm just using the acetate sheet from this. Now this should give us a different look because this should be a little bit more solid because we're going to have solid snowflakes done in the silver embossing powder. But that's going to look different than foil. It's going to be more muted, and so you're going to have a combination of a muted silver and a high shine silver.
Can you use the Swiffer to go over the paper before you stamp and emboss rather than the other thing you use?
Well, this is going to pick up dust, but this isn't going to get rid of oil and stuff like that. So if you have a little lotion on your hands and you touch your paper, this has a powder in it, so it dries that up and it prevents the powder from sticking to that. So it'll do something similar, but not exactly the same. All right, now I need to find, here I have a little folded piece of cardstock here, and I'm gonna get this back over here. And it's okay if I miss a little bit. All right, here is our silver fine detail powder. So let's see how this works now. Nice, nice, nice. So you'll see how this stamp, this is a really great stamp too. I love this one. This is called Delicate Snowflake Background. And they are very delicate. They're really pretty. They're spaced out really nicely too. Now over here I have some mess ups, but I don't care about that because I'm going to chop that off anyway to use it on for the foil, because I can't have it bigger. Can't have the background bigger than the piece of foil. And the reason for that is anywhere there's embossing powder, that's going to stick to my carrier sheet and ruin it. And I don't want to ruin my carrier sheet. So let's go ahead and emboss this. And you'll be able to see it turn nice and silver. And I'm going to put these side by side first so that you can see. I still have to emboss that junk down there, but that's all right. I'm going to show these side by side so that you can see the difference between the shine of embossing powder versus the shine of foil. It's all really pretty. So whatever you decide to do is going to look great. We could add the glitter foil onto this one, but I want to do I want to do apples to apples here first. I want to show you the silver with the silver. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So you can see it's more muted, right? It's pretty and it shines, but it doesn't quite shine like this. You see how this is like foil shine and this is more muted shine? Can you see the difference in that? So hopefully you can see that. You can really see it in real life. Now I'm going to trim this piece down. I could put glitter foil on it. That might be kind of fun. Do you guys want me to use the glitter foil? I said that really quietly.
You got a request for colored cardstock.
Okay, yeah, we could do that next. We can do that next for sure. We might as well experiment with all of it together, right? Okay, so let's use our Swiffer duster again to get rid of the dust. It's almost impossible to get rid of the dust. There's so much of it, but it's okay. And now we're gonna go with, should we do the glitter? Oh, I really want to do the glitter. Let's do the glitter. Why not? We'll do the glitter. Because then if you don't have glitter embossing powder, this gives you a way to glitter up your stamped images too. So that's fun. We should try it. We should try it. Yeah, you're right, Tom. I don't want to go it alone. All right, so we're going to do this.
Any plans to make background stamps into polyglaze cards?
Well, some of our background stamps are polyglaze, like our Petite Flourish, and we have very similar ones to like this snowflake one. We've got 2 different snowflake polyglazes. So we do have some overlap, but I do like to kind of change it up a little bit. I'm worried about this being too hot. All right, we're on number 2, so we're going to see if it's too hot. Here we go. So the answer to that question is yes and no. Some of them we do, some of them we don't. All right. Can you use a dryer sheet instead of a Swiffer? You know, I have had more luck with a Swiffer than a dryer sheet. And the reason is because a dryer sheet actually puts a coating on your stuff. If you feel a dryer sheet, it doesn't feel dry. It feels kind of greasy a little bit. So dryer sheets are meant to kind of add this chemical coating on your clothes to make them not staticky. And you really don't want to add anything that's going to attract powder. So I would suggest the Swiffer over the dryer sheet. All right. This may have been too hot. We'll see. Oh, I feel the texture though. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Everybody's fingers are crossed here. Mine too. Okay. Oh, it looks good. Oh, it looks good. Now, you see all the glitter in there? Oh, it looks so pretty. There's a lot of glitter in that foil. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can zoom in even more and try to show you this. We'll see. Okay, I'm really close, I know, but can you see like the iridescent glitter in that? I think you can see it a little bit in here, how it's like almost holographic. Oh man, that is so pretty. And you can also see, like for this one, because it is a very, very delicate design compared to those leaves, that you actually, and with the silver, you actually get more of the design in there than just using the white powder. See how delicate that design is? It's just, it almost looks like white hot, right? And this, you see more of the silver in there.
So Deborah wants to know what would happen if you use foil over the embossing ink without putting the embossing powder over it?
Nothing. It wouldn't stick at all. It wouldn't stick at all because you need that kind of goopy something to melt on there, and the embossing ink would just, yeah, you wouldn't have any result at all. But you know how I found that out? I tried it, so it's a great question. Okay, now I want to show you another stamp set that I really do like for this. It is, here it is. This one is called Blizzard. And I love this big snowflake. So why don't we do this one on a colored cardstock? Let's do it on craft, shall we? Craft would be kind of cool to see what it would look like. And we could do it with gold on craft. Now, you do have to know that colored cardstock does have a little bit more texture. So when you do this on colored cardstock, you're going to get a more textured design. It's not going to be as clean as on our smooth cardstock, which is our either 120-pound white or our 80-pound white. That is just such an ultra smooth cardstock. But let's go ahead and do this with, I know it's hard to see on here, but it'll be okay. Let's do this with gold embossing. Oh no, we don't want to do it with gold. We want to do it with clear because we want to see how delicate it is and then just have the clear showing through so we don't see any white or any other color. So once again, I'm going to use my embossing magic pad. And I'll just stamp the big snowflake a couple of times. So this one's not really going to be a card. This is really for experimental purposes only. But boy, that's a big snowflake. I think I can ink it. All right, do my best. Isn't this just so fun, just to be able to do this, though? I think it's so fun. We'll stamp a couple of these on here. So we'll stamp one right in the middle. Really want to get some pressure on there. You know, I worry about photo paper, Jessica, doing this on photo paper because photo paper has a coating on it, and that coating is going to get melty and the foil is going to stick all over the place. So I think you're not going to have the result that you want if you use photo paper. Okay, so I don't know if I got this inky enough. I think I'm going to flip it on the other side. and do it again. I think that I obviously did not clean this stamp last time I used it with embossing and watermark ink, and sometimes that dries on there and it inhibits you from getting a good impression. All right, Tom, so while I stamp this, we do still have the Blizzard stamp set. It's on our website. Just type in Blizzard, and I'll double check all of these names and everything because I didn't have that one labeled, and I will put all of the names of everything that I used in the description here on YouTube, so you can always go back and double check my work. Okay, so all right, let's see if we can get it on there a little clear. I should have used my Misty. I think I could have stamped it more than once, but we'll see. Ooh, this powder looks a little old too, but we'll do our best. Powder does get old. Embossing powder does get old. See how it looks a little damp? That's my bad. Okay. Now when I emboss this, it's going to turn clear. Hey, maybe this is a use for old embossing powder. We might stumble onto the greatest thing ever here. You never know, right? Hey, Whitney, how are you? Whitney's watching. Okay. All right, so we can see that now, and I tried not to over emboss so I didn't burn anything. Hopefully I got it all right. Honestly, I would suggest like doing this in the Misty if you're gonna stamp on textured paper so you can do it more than once. And even though our cardstock is not textured per se, it's just not as smooth as our white. All right, so let's try the 14 karat here. We're going to take a piece of that. I'm just going to use a whole piece because I want to go back and make that other one into a card real fast. But I think this is good to see what happens here. Why not, right? And where did my carrier sheet go? Let me put my foil away first because I don't want to get powder all over that too. That'd be a nightmare.
Can you use parchment paper for a carrier sheet?
You definitely can use parchment paper for a carrier sheet. I will tell you the big difference between parchment paper and carrier sheet paper is the ThermoWeb carrier sheets. They revised their carrier sheets and they now have a silicone lining, and the silicone transfers heat better. These transfer heat great. So you can use it, but you may want to, I would try it, and if you're not getting the results you want, maybe bump up your heat setting by 1. All right, let's hope for the best. Here we go. And then we're going to do a cute little card using... I have to see if I have any polyglaze or any, let's see, do I have a greeting somewhere? I may or may not have a greeting somewhere. I know I have polyglaze all over the place, polyglaze greetings, but we'll see if I can find a pack. All right, let's see. I know, Sue, I hear you, fingers crossed here too. I think it's gonna work. Let me just put that there for 1 second and cool it off, and then I'm going to just peek around my craft room here and see if I have any polyglaze. Oh, I don't think I do. I don't think I do. So maybe I'll just do an embossed greeting. All right, here we go. Oh, look at this. Look how beautiful that is. And you can see what I mean when I say it's a little crinkly. It's like rustic. But you see that? And that's on colored cardstock. Well, you can't really do that. Well, you can. But you can't do it on colored cardstock. The best that you can do with polyglaze and toner sheets is to ink blend your own color on the back. But if you want that, you know, rustic look of craft cardstock, and then you want to add a little foil, and you could color in with white colored pencil, that would be so amazing. So there we go. We've just experimented with a background stamp. We've experimented with a fairly delicate stamp, and then we experimented with a little bit of a thicker stamp, and we've created some really cool looks. So this one needs to be a card. Let me see if I can just find something to make a greeting, and I'll whip this into a card real fast. So what do you guys think? I mean, is this exciting? Are your creative juices just flowing now, and you're excited to look through all your stamps and see which ones you can foil? And if you are new to foiling and you're looking for a machine, our fuse is now back in stock. We've got the white fuse now, the one that I've been using, available now at Gina K Designs. And the thing that's great about it is it's got those different heat settings that you can use your stamps, you can use vellum, you can use heavier, like a lightweight chipboard, so that's a heavier type of cardstock. All right, so we'll put that, it would actually look really pretty on craft too, wouldn't it? Maybe we'll do that, but let me see if I have a greeting in here. Okay, so I've got, oh gosh, wait till you guys see this. So here's a whole bunch of junk that I was working on at one time, and I don't know what I have in here, but how about a hello? What if we just did a black hello? That one's broken. We could do thanks. Thanks is very simple. And, you know, it could be a simple thank you card. I think that would be pretty, and we'll put a few little gold embellishments on there. That's what we'll do. And let's see what color card base would look great with this. Here's a little honey mustard. Oh, no, this isn't honey mustard. This is sweet corn. Is that sweet corn? Yeah, that's sweet. That would be really pretty, wouldn't it? Let's try. Here's honey mustard. That's pretty too. That makes the colors a little brighter, where this kind of blends in with the colors a little more. Let's try some fresh asparagus that's not even on this card. It's kind of pretty too. I feel like that makes it a little more masculine too. Like if you're just saying, okay, I want to send this to a guy friend for helping me out with something. And then my last color choice would be something totally outside of any of it, like a gray. But I don't know, because I think that's going to look too blue, and I feel like it clashes with the gold. I feel like these warmer tones really pick up everything. So let's do that. I feel like I see a lot of you agreeing with the green already, so let's do the green. We will cut a quick card base here. And I think we've tried a lot of cool techniques. We tried using a colored embossing powder with the colored foil, so gold on gold. We've tried using the clear on colored cardstock, which gave us a really beautiful snowflake design. And we used the white on these leaves, which creates a combination of foiling and emboss resist. Now, like I said, I'm going to pop that little sheet that I made today with all of the foiling terms in our group, and that should be helpful for those of you who are just a little confused about some of the process here. Sometimes you hear words and you're like, wait, what's the carrier sheet? Is that the foil, or is that the... You'll be able to refer to this sheet and you'll be able to see it. All right, Tom, while I'm gluing this down, I know a lot of people want the word of the day. Do you have one? I forgot to even ask you if you had a word of the day, and now I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes, the word of the day.
You do have one? Good.
Okay, so imagine you're working all day in your craft room. Can you imagine that?
Oh, it'd be a dream.
Oh, okay, and so there are things flying everywhere, and everything that, when you're done, for your project for the next day is to take everything down that fell and make a project out of it. And that would be called florigami. That's your project, using all the stuff that fell on the floor.
That's an awesome word of the day. I love that.
Word of the day, back to the dead space.
Florigami. Love, love, love. All right. So now we've got our thanks on there. And of course, I'm going to spill out all the little gems. And we're going to do a mixture of gold and black to tie everything together. So maybe we'll do one here. We'll do one over here. We'll do one up here, in here, and up here. So let me find my pick and stick tool. And then this card will be done. Then we're going to be giving away a $15 gift card. Let's see. What do you call this, Tom? Blingering?
You are blingering away.
Let's do a big gold one there. And then we'll do this tiny black one up here. And one more black one up here. I feel like we could add maybe two more. We'll put one down here, a gold one, maybe a bigger gold one, and maybe one up here. A little more gold in the mix. And then this card is done. I really wanted to get one card in for you. I didn't like that one. Sometimes you just find one that you're not thrilled with. I don't know why. Something about it rubs you the wrong way. Okay, so now I've got some little blinger there and that beautiful gold foiled leaves. And this is how you foil using your stamps. All right, what do you think of this, Tom?
It's spectacular and different.
Yeah, so much fun. So much fun. So I can't wait to see what people do and post in our Facebook group, because you guys always like blow me away with what you do. All right, Tom. So what do you think? Shall we give away a $15 gift card to Gina K Designs? And I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this card so you can see the finished design. I'm going to turn it too while everybody's... I just have to see it. I love that. All right. Let's do the gift card, Tom.
All right. All right. And drum roll, please. Here we go for the gift card. The winner is Lisa Greer. Lisa Greer.
Yay, Lisa!
Yay.
Congratulations. All you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com and we will get that card out to you. All right, everybody. Well, this was more than fun today. I just feel like staying right here and playing with every stamp set I have and seeing what happens. Can you imagine that snowfall background with a little bit of foil? Or maybe the petite flourish, or some of your silhouette stamps with that like crinkly foil look. Oh, the possibilities are endless, so I hope you'll try it. If you are new to Gina K Designs, we would love to have you over in our Facebook group. It's called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. And if you see something you like here today, head over to our website and you can check it out at ginakdesigns.com. If you liked today's video, and we sure hope you did, if you'd give us a thumbs up, that really does help my channel. It gets more eyes on us and more friends for the future. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another video. All right, everybody. Well, Tom and I will be back next Tuesday night with another Stamp and Chat Live. And in the meantime, stay safe and healthy. We love you all so very much. And mwah, we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.